Welcome to the Kirkpatrick podcast, bridging traditions and trends in learning and performance evaluation. Whether you're a seasoned learning professional or just starting out, join us as we dive into the Kirkpatrick model like never before. Through stories and insights, we are fusing time-honored methods with cutting-edge innovations to help you navigate the ever-evolving world of learning and performance evaluation. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Kirkpatrick podcast. It's Vanessa and Jim. Hey, Jim.
Hello.
And we are so excited to be talking. We're in our series right now, talking all about getting buy-in. So the previous episode, we talked about how do you get buy-in from your peers and your colleagues. Today, what are we talking about, Jim?
Well, I think it'd be a good day to talk about line managers and supervisors, because we do get a lot of questions about that. So we're going to directly address those questions that is now going to follow once we've solidified some things back in our own workplace.
Awesome. So in thinking about this series and the progression, honestly, well, I'll just let people know how the sausage is made. We originally were just going to talk straight about how do you get buy-in from your stakeholders. And then you brought out the amazing recommendation of taking it us back to, peers and supervisors and frontline managers. And as I started to think about this, it just clicked. It was like, duh, Vanessa, why wouldn't we work our way up? Could you imagine going from yourself as maybe an individual contributor, trying to get straight up to the C-suite level to get that buy-in. There's all these other steps in between that if you don't have the foundation right, of course it's going to be about 1,000,000 times harder to get that buy-in. So I really appreciated you reining me back in a little bit to make sure I'm not trying to get out there too quickly.
Well, you know how I feel. I feel really, really bad about it. Because for 20 years, we have been teaching, here's how you get a buy-in with your senior leaders, your line managers. It never dawned on me for 15 years. It happened just recently, hours ago, that, wow, we better start getting our own house in order first and create our relationship there with the people that are probably going to offer more resistance to a new way of thinking than are the supervisors and the senior leaders anyway. So I apologize for that, but it's never too late for us to change and add some new things.
And you know what? It's right on time. We are in the middle of revamping the certification programs, including our silver program. We talk a lot about this. So it's perfect timing for us to start introducing new things.
I won't lose any more sleep then. Good.
No. You can sleep. I'll be the one who loses the sleep now. So what would you recommend let's go back for a second. Tell me why this is so important for you to really talk about your direct manager and your supervisor and how to build that relationship.
Well, ultimately, we want to impress the high-level people. Don't we? We want to contribute to the mission. We want to contribute to division and department goals and all that. And we hear a lot of focus on results. I work with a major company. They said, our mantra is focus on results. Well, I had some trouble with that, but I wasn't going to tell them at that point. But in order to focus on results and get results, you focus on performance, because the results are outcome and output from the performance. So that is really where the work gets done. And then we celebrate getting into level 4 with the results. So we got to really work hard with that level 3 on the job.
Yeah, and level 3 for me, really, this is the manager's time to shine. This is your supervisor's time to really step in and be a part of your learning and being part of the experience. They have to do so much in order to do those level 3 actions that you do need to ensure they're bought in.
And you know what else, Vanessa? When we focus on level 1 reaction and level 2 learning, the training part, we're assuming that supervisors not only know how to do that, performance management, but they will do it. And probably neither is the truth on a large scale. That is not intuitive They may not learn that in their MBA program, but it is essential that they learn how to motivate and encourage and reinforce the behaviors that need to occur in order to get the results. And we can no longer assume that they know how to do it or are willing to do it. We've got to help.
Love it. Do you want to play a little game?
I'm up for it.
You're up for it? Okay.
What do you got in mind?
Well, lecturing is not, talking ain't gonna, ain't training. We want to, really try something a little bit fun, a little bit different. We're going to do a little bit of a role play. I'm going to come to you.
Okay.
Challenge as my supervisor. And then we'll just see where it goes. We'll show them the bad, the ugly. You ready?
All right.
All right. I've got a challenge here. One that I recently heard from, the people out there on the interwebs. So I'm going to start off with, I do not believe anything I'm about to say. I do not subscribe to what I'm about to say. I'm simply just playing a role. And I'm simply stating things. So don't come for me, please. All right. So, hi, Jim. How are you?
Hey, Vanessa, what's up?
Well, I'm having a little bit of a challenge here. I've got some new team members, new year, new team, and I'm having some challenges with how they're performing, and the decisions that they're making. They really don't seem aligned with, kind of how I would do things and I think how we would do things. And also I'm a little frustrated, I'm not going to lie, because, well, I'm just going to say the ugly thing. They just don't want to work. Like this younger generation, they just don't want to work, stay a little bit later, do a couple of, extra, stay like a couple minutes after 5:00, all those things. And I just really don't know, what we need in order to like help them. But they need like training or something because they need to understand like how we're supposed to work and, how they're supposed to support the organization.
Oh, you know what? I get upset about the same thing. I have the teenage kids and they don't want to work, and I know the nephews and things and they don't want to work. It's really, really a big problem, and it's really, really frustrating. Yeah. In fact, I have one nephew. His name is Charlie. His parents helped him find a job, and then he went and did, and he kind of got off early, and he lost his job, and then the parents found him another job. Oh, it's just so frustrating that these younger people nowadays. Yeah. What else you got?
I mean, I don't get it. Like, I think that, it's so hard for me to figure out how to support them as a manager. I just don't feel very well equipped in order to do it. And I'm really struggling with providing them feedback appropriately. And, just always concerned like how I'm going to say something and all of that. I just don't feel very well prepared for managing.
Well, I feel that way sometimes too. I have my own issues that I deal with, and a lot of times I feel the same way. I won't go into detail about it, about upper management, but yeah, I struggle too. Anything else on your mind?
Yeah, what am I supposed to do? Tell me the answer. You're my manager.
What? It's getting kind of late in the day. Let me give some thought to that, and maybe we can meet next week sometime. How about that?
I mean, sure.
Okay. All right. I'll call you and let you know my schedule.
Great.
Okay. Good.
Thanks so much, Jim.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Now that's role play number 1. Okay.
End scene.
Okay. Good. I'm glad that maybe we could improve on it, huh?
I would hope so. I mean, I'm left unclear.
Okay. Let's take 2. Okay. And you come back to me and let's see if we can do it differently.
Okay.
Hi, Vanessa. What's up?
Hi, Jim. Well, I'm having some challenges. We just got those new team members, with the start of the year. And I'm just noticing some things that I don't feel are aligned with how we work. They just don't really feel like they have the commitment or loyalty to the organization. And I'm just going to come out and say it, this new generation, they don't work as hard as we do. It's 5 o'clock on the dot. Their feet are, heading out the door. And I'm not seeing the results that I think I provided when I was in their shoes.
It would take a lot for you to come to me with this. I can tell how frustrated you are.
Yeah, definitely. And I don't want to disappoint you.
You mentioned about you noticing some things. What kind of things have you noticed?
Yeah, absolutely. So things like leaving 5 o'clock on the dot, projects taking longer than I would have scoped them to take, and just not really having them being up to speed, not taking on as much or raising their hand to take on, more when there is some stretch assignments in front of them.
Are you seeing it starting to impact the other people around them?
I mean, definitely me.
Oh, like what? Besides you.
I would say it's definitely impacting me. But yeah, I think that what happens is now it's, up to Joseph to take on some of the work. And then up to Sally to also take on more work, which leads to them staying later and things like that. Cause we're still trying to meet the needs of the business and hit our production timelines and all of that. And it's hard to do that if it feels like not everybody's pulling their weight.
Okay. So you're starting to see it impacting our customers?
Well, I mean, their products are going to be delivered later. And I'm going to burn out the other parts of my team because they're taking on, we're burning, what do they say? Burning the midnight oil.
Well, first of all, I'm really glad you came to tell me that. Maybe isn't the easiest thing in the world, but I'm certainly not judging you for that. But do you have any initial suggestions on how I might help?
I definitely need some support in how to have conversation with some of these employees, that are productive, yet honest and open.
Okay. Because that's at risk, isn't it? And, eventually they may get discouraged. So, well, I'm glad to help with that. In fact, maybe we could, maybe just have a listening session. Maybe I could be there to support you as you ask for support and just kind of get things out in the open in a non-judgmental way and see what comes up. And then we could talk after that and see what might be helpful.
Yeah, I think that would be so helpful, having another set of eyes and ears, so that my bias doesn't creep in would definitely be very helpful.
Okay. And then maybe after that, you and I could meet a little more regularly, because I can tell this has probably been going on a while, and let's not have you wait another month to come and talk to me about it, and we can just figure something for that out.
Perfect. I will, I'll schedule some time, maybe on a recurring basis, maybe once a month or every other week. We can check in, just 30 minutes. How's that sound?
All right. So let's set up a time to have a kind of open dialogue with them. Then I'll watch my calendar to make sure you do that. Okay.
Perfect. Thank you, Jim.
Okay. Well, there was a difference, wasn't there? Hopefully.
Well, I didn't want to yell at you at the end of take 2.
You wanted to yell at me after the first one?
A little bit. I was like, I'm coming to you for help. And I just complained that they are, leaving the door at 5 o'clock and you're telling me it's late in the day.
I'm busy with my own job, Vanessa. I don't have time to deal with your problem. But you know what that is, and some of you can relate to that. I call it ping pong conversation of where someone says, oh, I did it. I caught a fish this big. Oh, I caught a fish this big. And, my dad can beat up your dad. It's back and forth without spending time and patience to really find out what's going on. And we are, as a culture, very, very guilty of that. And it shuts you down, makes you want to knock me upside the head, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And I think too, you hit a a good point. Well, you're helping me reflect. I have some relationships in my life where it's very much a ping pong relationship.
Yep.
Where like something will happen to me and then it's like a one-up sort of situation, and it becomes so draining that I don't even want to talk to them. I don't want to call them. I don't want to, I'm done. So I can just imagine from, a management level.
Right.
How that can make an employee feel.
And then you know what, Vanessa, this is still under the question of what can be done about this. And the first suggestion is to, make a foray over to the other side of the bridge, from the learning side to the performance side. Introduce yourself and make sure you listen. Introduce yourself and say, what's going on over here? They'll say, what are you doing here? Say, well, we're concerned about the training and the learning that it actually happens over here. I just thought I'd come and see what's going on. And then resist the temptation to interrupt and to offer some kind of solution. Oh, we got a great new competency model, or we got a great upskilling model. You should see the new leadership model we got. That will not work, because what it does is it takes away their voice, and it doesn't create trust. And I could tell that you were trusting me a little more on the second role play, because I was listening. I asked you, what did you mean by this? What have you noticed? And that is the first step, is to go over and seek to understand before you seek to be understood, according to Stephen Covey's fourth habit.
Yeah, and you reframed what I was saying, which was good, which signaled to me that you were actually listening.
Right.
It's important. Oftentimes you talk to people and you're like, I don't know if they really were paying attention to me, or it was in one ear, out the other, that famous saying. And may I ask, if we turn it around and we turn it around on, me as the employee going to my manager, what are some recommendations you have there to build the outcome that you're looking for from your manager?
Well, the first thought is to ask permission. Is it okay to bring up something? Because sometimes if you bring it up and you have a little emotion about it, the other person, no matter how capable they are, they may just shut down or get defensive. I know I do that, believe it or not. If someone blindsides me, or I feel blindsided, and say, I think you didn't do this right, I'm going to get real defensive. And ask people to live in this house with me if that ever happens. So I think the first thing is say, I've got some things that are kind of on my mind, are kind of troubling me about work. Is this an okay time to talk with you about it?
Yeah,
and
definitely.
Usually that disarms them, and then you've got the opening.
Yeah, it respects them and the idea that they're busy too, and they have a lot of stuff going on, and they have other factors that are playing into their day to day, and what they're doing. So I think that is certainly a great way to start a conversation. Even if people say, your manager says, I have an open door policy, there's still that courtesy of asking for permission that goes a really long way.
The open door policy is well-meaning, isn't it? But a lot of human nature overtakes that, doesn't it? But this specifically works with learning people, with talent people. All of us, that our main job is creating the good learning. But this is how we want you to approach the people on the other side, whether it's a senior leader, whether it's basically anyone. But here we're talking about, there's my phone. Need that. Sorry. But don't bother me now. I'm in the middle of a role play.
They didn't even ask permission to call you.
That's right. There was someone calling to complain about, boy, wait till I get, But I think you will see that those very two simple things, one is asking permission, and two is then saying, here's some things that I noticed. Or if somebody comes to you, it's the same thing. Resist the temptation to offer a solution, because then they have to come to me for the solution all the time. Vanessa, I wanted you to come up with some ideas so that I could support, and you even asked for it, so I could support your ideas rather than you come to me dependent on me giving you the answer. That's not really helping you.
You want to know what my biggest pet peeve is with employees? or just anybody in general, just anybody actually. We're in a blanket statement. This one is anybody in my life. People that don't come to me with kind of thinking of a solution first. Because when you come to me consistently asking for me to come up with a solution every single time, especially if I put you in a position of like management and like leadership, then
Right.
it's like, I put you in that role to come up with those solutions. And like, I can be the last, like, give me one or two options or give me the one option and just make sure, it's not like, if you just want that final approval, fine. But I think, being more of a solution, like having it in your mind that I'm trying to figure out a solution, even if you have not figured out what that solution is, but coming and saying, I'm recognizing this out, here is kind of where I'm thinking, but I'm coming up with dead ends here and here and here. Then having that conversation, I think really goes a much further way.
I like that. And if you are running into dead ends, I wouldn't want to just keep shoving it back to you. Well, what do you think? What do you think? You think, I've tried everything I can think of. Then I have to take a more active role, and I have to support you, and I have to protect you, in some way as a boss, and to say, well, how about, that's why I invited that I would go along with you, because I was sensing that you were kind of have tried a lot of things, and I know you, so that's why I wanted to go with you. Just, you knew I was there, but I was going to let you run the show unless I needed to kind of jump in. But this works all different directions. What we're talking about is you're coming to a boss. It works really well when an L&D person is going to a line manager. It's still about seeking to understand and creating trust, because you trust me better that second role play than you did the first role play. And this is all about building trust, whatever direction and levels we're moving towards.
Absolutely. What's another tip that you have when working with line managers and supervisors?
Well, the word recruiting comes to my mind. And I'm about HR recruiting, but I'm talking about finding, like if you find a Jim K that is willing to listen and willing to help, you might say, hey, would you mind, we're going to have a little workshop for line managers on how to support and hold accountable their people. Would you be willing to be part of that? Because guess what? The line managers in that organization are going to listen to their colleague, their peer, before they're going to listen to Jim K coming from the L&D world. And so this is recruiting them to be an example to others. And again, back to what you said last week, Vanessa, about the other podcast we did, is then it's creating momentum, and it is I've kind of lost my train of thought there, but you know what I'm getting at. Yeah. It creates others that will follow suit.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think too, you have just on that, when you're asking someone to join in and participate, it's a much different, it feels like, it's the number one thing that we hear in L&D. You don't really understand our day to day. You don't understand the pressures that we are under. We may tell you, you may think that but you really have no idea because you're not living in it, you're not breathing in it. So recruiting a manager to be part of the solution, having conversations with their own people about these things is different because they've been there, and they have those stories. One of the great things that I am obsessed with you is the amount of stories that you have, because you're able to take those stories and relate them. People, we love stories, right? We want to hear stories. That's what we remember. And if you're able to translate a story or an experience of your own to what they may be experiencing and how you were able to, get past that experience or overcome that challenge, it means a lot more than just, maybe from like an L&D person that doesn't really know what it's like to walk in our shoes.
You know what I'd like to suggest and invite people to do is, I love stories too, and I love hearing them as much as I love telling them. But what I'd like you to do is, after hearing this, if a story pops into your mind or you do something with what you've heard, we want to know about it. Not just your typical questions. Podcast said, well, here's a question that came in. Very, very typical. What we want is, here's a story that came in that we want to share with you. Mm-hmm. We would love to do that. That would inspire others So
absolutely.
How might they do that, Vanessa? Do you have any practical ways on how they would?
Yeah, if they email marketing marketing at kirkpatrickpartners.com, then it will go to the podcasting team, to be able to share that with us so that we can talk about them. And also if there is a challenge that you faced, in a story that format, also let us know and we can tell you, kind of coach you how we would have maybe approached that manager or approached that employee or approached that senior leader.
And you know what this is?
And we'll protect the innocent also, to be clear. We won't share all details. Oh,
good point. But you know what? Any of you who have listened to any of our podcasts realize that we are full of heart. And we don't mean that in a corny way, but we really care about you all. We care about each other. And we also are big on relationships. And this is another way that rather than you just watching or listening to our podcast and, maybe we'll watch the next one, we want a relationship with you as this goes along. And who knows what comes from that.
And if I may take the floor now, if you want to take our relationship to the most personal level and come to the Kirkpatrick Summit, our inaugural Kirkpatrick Summit this June. This is the type of thing that we're going to be talking about. This is the type of work that we're going to be doing. What I'm so excited about is that we're really taking a different approach to what a quote unquote conference, a summit looks like, where there's panels and you're hearing from more people. You're hearing about how people are actually applying this stuff in a practical way in their organization so that you can pull those insights. But really that last day, obviously I'm very excited about the 70th celebration, like number one. But before that, we're going to have a whole working day to be working with the people that attend the conference for them to walk away with these, a presentation for their senior leaders or, helping them overcome these objections or how do I have these conversations? How do I bring, my peers along as I try to create this change and really help them take what they learned in the previous sessions and apply it to their work. So when you go to work, you have something tangible to take with you.
Excellent. I hope I'm invited.
I have a couple of jumps for you that week, so you're going to be busy.
I'll be glad to be there. Look forward to it. Very good, Vanessa.
Awesome. Well, friends, I think we're going to leave this one here. And I know that you all are going to be working quite hard to be looking to work on your relationships, work on active listening, and work on that conversation, that ping pong type of conversation. Again, like Jim said, if you ever have a story or a question or a scenario you want us to address or to talk about, please feel free to email marketing at kirkpatrickpartners.com. We will, again, like I said, protect the innocent and not share any of your personal information out there, but just use that story, use that scenario, use that experience in order to, help coach you from the podcast world. So friends, thank you so much for watching and for listening. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel and on your favorite podcasting platform, and we will see you next time.
Bye.